Welcome, everyone. This is Joe Digger, the host of the Business 901 podcast. With me today is Jeb Blount. Jeb is a speaker, executive advisor, consultant, and world-class trainer who inspires people to take massive action and reach peak performance. Author of, I think, over 7 books, with his most current one, Fanatical Prospecting. He can be found at salesgravy.com, the most visited sales-specific website on the planet, he says. So I don't know about that, but I could go on, but it seems like you're somebody in the sales world. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me on today. It's fantastic to be here with you.
Well, your book, Fanatical Prospecting, it seemed to set off a glut of other prospecting books. Were you just lucky, or did everyone follow you?
I think everybody was following me. We knew when we were doing it that there was a hole in the marketplace, and that there'd been this shift about from people talking about actually doing outbound prospecting and talking to human beings to spending all their time on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook all day long. And we've been hearing from a lot of executives that were really upset that their sales team's performance had dipped and their pipelines were shrinking, and there was just all of this, movement towards social media, and it fizzled out.
But we've raised that bar, okay? And these different things with, let's say our digital and our social media things of contact with people. Aren't the buyers getting somewhat resilient to all that? I mean, don't they start kind of building up barriers? And, I know that if I sign up for this email or sign up for this download, I'm going to get a phone call in 20 minutes. That's Sales Gravy calling me with an Atlanta number, okay? Because I just downloaded this ebook. And are buyers getting attuned to that type of stuff? I mean, how do we keep it fresh?
Well, I think that you're talking about inbound marketing, and we're talking about a little bit different. So we're talking about outbound. So when we send an email out, we've made a phone call, we've left a voicemail for them. They didn't answer the phone. We have an email that goes right after that, and there may be a link to something. They don't have to give us their information. We already have their information. So it's not like if we send a link to something. We say, for example, here's a link to our winter training catalog. So we have a new catalog that came out with all of our courses that we're running live. And we send that out. They click on it, they can look at it. What Tellwise does, for example, is it creates a web page out of that download. So we know that they're in there looking at it. We know that we can actually open up a chat box with them, and we can ask them a question about, hey, we see them looking at fanatical prospecting. We can ask them a question, what are you doing to drive activity to your sales team? If they write back, we just say, hey, it sounds like it makes sense for us to get on the telephone. If we go back to inbound marketing, what you're talking about, which is, hey, setting up a form where someone downloads a page or goes to a webinar, are they smart that they're going to get a call? I think we've trained people that if you download something for free, that you're paying for that with your email address, or you're paying for that with your phone number. But here's what I would say to you. Maybe that's a good thing, because instead of a bunch of people downloading stuff that don't want to engage with you anyway. Usually those people are what we call seekers. They're people who are seeking information. They have no buying authority. They have no influence on the buying authority. All they're doing is getting information. You get hung up in those things as people, as a salesperson, you're going to lose. And by the way, the highest value prospects in your pipeline or in your industry or in your marketplace. Those people were never downloading your crap. Never. They didn't have to. There's a line of salespeople waiting outside their office trying to get in. So most of the people who were downloading your stuff anyway were not high-value prospects. Sometimes they are. I know that if I download something, people are going to call me. I know that. I get that. Fortunately, most people don't even call. I know I'm going to get an email, right? They're going to get an email. That's cool. I also know there's an unsubscribe on the email, so if it's crap, I can get rid of it. But usually, I'm selective. If I download something, I know that it's going to cause a salesperson to call me. I get that. I'm smart enough to understand that. So I typically download stuff that I'm okay with the call because it's something I'm interested in. So in some extent, because people have gotten smarter about those things, we're getting better quality inbound leads. And for us, an inbound lead it's our very best lead. We have a much higher conversion rate on an inbound lead than we have on an outbound call. There's no doubt about that. And if you're an organization, my recommendation is you combine your inbound with your outbound, and you've got real power, right? You should have inbound coming in. However, and this is important, I see reps every single day in companies that we work with where there's a pile of inbound leads, and they're avoiding calling those leads too. I know this for a fact because I download stuff every day from SaaS companies, and nobody calls me. My phone number's on the freaking internet. Nobody calls me. I'm a CEO. We spend a lot of money every year buying products. Nobody calls. But I'll get 15 emails from the same schmuck who sends me a note and says, "Did you get my email yesterday?" Guess what? I did. I just didn't respond to you because I don't respond to emails. So I do think that. But I also think that this concept, are buyers getting smarter? Not really. Here's what's happening. Buyers have more information at their fingertips. They can go and do research. They can look for things. They can test things out. But there's also data that says that buyers are getting tired of that. Buyers are getting tired of having the burden of collecting all the information. I'm getting tired of SaaS companies sending me emails, and I have no freaking idea what they're talking about. I have no idea what they're talking about. They send me these emails with all this jargon and big words in it. I have no idea. Sometimes I send it back to the rep and go, "Could you put this in plain English?" And they still can't, right? So I get that too. But I think that that buyers want salespeople to bring value when they have a conversation with them, and I don't think that is new to 2016. I was selling in 1980. I was selling, or the 1980s. I was selling in the 1990s, where I was really building my sales career. And in the 1990s, buyers wanted me to spend time with them and add value. We're under this delusion like that things change so much, and the reality is there's not an old school or a new school. There is the school of selling, and that means you have to build relationships with people. You have to add value. You have to ask questions. You have to listen to them. You have to be able to understand all of the people in your stakeholder group that are influencing the deal. You have to understand their level of influence. You have to understand that there are some people who are going to be advocates for you. There are some people who are going to be naysayers, and there's some people who are going to be agnostic. And you have to be able to influence those. You have to build coaches so that if there's multiple people making a decision, you need someone on your side. You have to make sure that you don't get stuck. And with seekers, people who are downloading information, you call them up and they're the secretary, like for the boss, and they downloaded a white paper and now you're stuck there. You have to make sure that you understand the people in the organization who are amplifying pain or issues. You have to do all of those things. That's not changed. It's easier, by the way, to sell than it's ever been before because, dude, when I was, 1992, when I was out there carrying a briefcase, my database was a phone book. I mean, that was it. You didn't know anything about anybody. You had no information. And so you had to go in there and you had to do all the work you had to do up front just to get through the door. Now, when I go to LinkedIn, I can find anything about you, anything about your company. And oh, by the way, the company can do the same thing for me. So I think that we have to be careful not to get caught up in, hey, everything's changed merry-go-round that we get into. Because what happens if you're an executive is that you get into this BS vortex of everything has changed, and so you start chasing flavor of the day. You start looking at the next everything has changed, book that comes out or idea that comes out, and you start jerking things around. You don't get anywhere. What I know is this: sales is blocking, tackling is no different than football, right? Throwing a pass, running the ball. You do the basics every single day, and you do it consistently. And you said this, right? Every day you do it, you're going to win. And I think unique to startups and unique to software, unique to cloud, unique to that space is that a lot of that space you've got these ideas and these new ways of doing things that people don't know anything about. So you have the additional burden of, to some extent, teaching people that they need something. And there's a book, by the way, and someone you should probably get on your show that I'd recommend. And it's Trish Batuzzi wrote a book around sales development. And I have it around here someplace. I think it's called the Sales Development Handbook. And I may have that wrong. You might want to look that up. But she takes what we do in fanatical prospecting. And she applies that to how do you build a sales team that can actualize that and make that work, in that particular paradigm.
I think that's interesting, but the bottom line is, and I think Dan Pink said it as well as anyone, to sell is still human, right? I mean,
well, that's true. To sell is human, but also to buy is human, and I think we miss that, right?
Yes. Yes. Good point.
People and what we understand about buyers are completely irrational, And where salespeople make a mistake is that salespeople believe that buyers are rational, that buyers are making logical decisions based on their own self-interest. And that is simply not true. And neither are influencers, because our brains aren't built that way. Our brains are stock full of cognitive biases, of heuristics that we use to make short, quick decisions, and in a complex world. And we see all the time. In fact, I had one of my clients. This is in my brand new book, Sales EQ. I wrote the story, but one of my clients sold a $500,000 software deal. And when we went back and asked the buyers why they bought because they liked the salesperson so much, that he was a really nice guy, and that he was the only salesperson that sent the buyer a birthday card. You can't make this stuff up, right? A $500,000, and this wasn't one of those decisions where, hey, it was $500,000 and it's over next year. They were basically getting married to this company for life, because this software was so integral to their world that once it was in place, moving away from it was almost impossible, because he sent her a birthday card. I mean, think about that. So buyers are irrational, and buying is human. And I don't have the graph I could put up, but think about it like this. Most sellers, right, begin sales conversations talking about logical things. They talk about features and benefits and the things that a product does for the business. They ask logical questions. Most buyers begin the selling process at the emotional level. Do I like this person? Does this person listen to me? Do they make me feel important? Do they care about me? Do they understand me? Do I trust them? And so the seller starts at logic, the buyer starts at emotion. And as the sales process, moves, the buyer moves more to logic. The buyer feels like, hey, I like the salesperson or what have you. So the buyer moves to making a buying decision. And so then they begin weighing all the data. They're like, am I going to spend money here? So they move more towards, logic. The seller, who's afraid they're going to lose the deal, right? So they've got to negotiate. They've got to ask for the business. They've got a lot of their time and their emotion invested in it. They're at the emotional state. So the buyer is at a logical state. The seller is at an emotional state. And if you think about that in most of your deals, the buyer and the seller are perpetually out of sync emotionally. So you've got all of this conflict. And we think, everything has changed in selling. That was happening when the Egyptians were building pyramids. This is humans, right? This is how we work. And Daniel Pink is exactly right? Selling is human, buying is human, and human beings have not evolved, over the last 20 years to become different than they were 20 years ago. They just haven't.
Well, I got it all figured out. I'm just going to cold call people on their birthday, right?
That's exactly right. Well, I'll tell you what works for me, and it works with email too. If someone wants to get in touch with me and you go and you send me a note and say, Jeb, I read your book and it was awesome. And it's sincere, right? So a couple of people have heard me say this and they send me insincere things, and I know it's insincere. But if it's sincere, and I'm gonna respond to you. Why? Emotional. You said something nice to me. One of the guys that I do business with, cold called me one day. I was on my treadmill working out. He called me up. And he said, oh, I didn't know you were going to answer the telephone. I said, well, I did. What's up? And he goes, I read Fanatical Prospecting and I loved it so much. And you said to call people, so I'm calling you. I ended up buying from the guy. Like, how can I say no to that?
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'll have to tell you that the first time through Fanatical Prospecting, I read it and I thought, okay. But then all at once it became my go-to book, okay? And I don't know how it grew into that, all right? Because it just kind of evolved. And so it wasn't like I read it and said, oh, this is fantastic. This is the book I need. It just kind of said, oh, yeah, I thought there was something like that in there, okay? And I went back and it just sort of evolved into the one that I used, okay, and looked at.
I'm clapping for you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I love that.
Well, tell me when your new book comes out, and also about your website and the courses you offer and how someone can learn more here, okay?
Absolutely. Let's start with a new book. I've got a new book coming out. It'll be out on March 24th. It's called Sales EQ. It really focuses on the psychology of selling. We call it the new psychology of selling. And it's around exactly what we talked about. It's leveraging sales-specific emotional intelligence inside the pipeline to close basically any deal, so that you can interact with people. And to sell is human, to buy is human. We talk a lot about that in cognitive biases, how people operate, but we really teach salespeople the psychology of how people make decisions and then how to leverage their own emotional intelligence to take advantage of that so that they can move more people to close and close more business. That book, by the way, is available right now for pre-order, and I would suggest pre-ordering it. When Fanatical Prospecting came out, we sold out. I mean, everybody sold out of books really in the first couple of days, and all the people that had pre-ordered got their books immediately. So it's something that you can do right now. You can go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble. The book will be available in Barnes & Noble. Fanatical Prospecting, by the way, is available in every Barnes & Noble store across the United States. And you can also pick that up on Amazon and any online outlet. My website is salesgravy.com. And we have on our website this amazing platform that we spent a lot of money building called Sales Gravy University. And it's an online learning platform, and we offer both self-directed programs, so you can go on and say there's a program there called Telephone Essentials, so you can learn how to telephone prospect by watching videos of me. But we also offer an entire catalog of facilitator-led or instructor-led remote learning. And these are scheduled classes that have self-directed, sort of a blending learning environment where we have a virtual classroom, a very cool, innovative virtual classroom that you can spend time on. All of those sessions are recorded. Plus, you are able to engage in discussion forums with the other participants. You have chat rooms that are open once a week with the facilitator, and the facilitators are available via phone and email. So participants have some interaction with an expert in their field teaching this particular course. So we have a course coming up called Business Guidance Selling, in particular that is built for SaaS and cloud and technology salespeople. It's taught by a guy named Keith Lubner, who is an expert in that area, and he teaches, how do you work across stakeholder groups to consolidate budget inside of companies and work across, for example, CMOs, CSOs. So you go to salesgravy.com and you'll find Sales Gravy University there. Check it out. There's a couple of free courses that you can take. And we also have a really innovative mobile app for Sales Gravy University on both iOS, on Apple, and on Google Play. And you can download those apps as well. So we've got that going on. And of course, you can reach me. And by the way, please go buy Fanatical Prospecting. I guarantee it will make you more money this year. But you can reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter at SalesGravy. I love people to follow me on Twitter. You can reach me on Facebook. Follow me personally at SalesGravy, or you can get Jeb on Demand. /Jeb on Demand is my page on Facebook. Follow me there. I'm on Instagram at SalesGravy, and I'm on Snapchat at SalesGravy too. Although I struggle with Snapchat, I'll have to be honest with you. but I am there. So if you hang out, if you follow me there, I'm at SalesGravy. You can find me at Jeb Blount. If you go to if you can get my podcasts on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, on Podbay FM. Obviously, I'm on YouTube as well. You can go to my YouTube channel and check out my videos. So that's all the ways that you can get in touch with me. But I do encourage you to go check out Sales Gravy University. There's a course right now called 15-Minute Sales Training, and maybe we can even put this video on there if we decide to. And you can download some different videos from experts. Some of the experts that you've interviewed as well, Joe, are there. And it's a great opportunity for your entire sales team to check out some free advice, some free training in different areas of sales.
Well, that sounds awesome, and I would encourage people to go look at salesgravy.com. Great website, great information there. There's as much free stuff on there as there is paid stuff on there. There's a nice mixture of both, and I think if you're in the sales game at all, you need to go visit it.
Thank you.
This podcast will be available on Business 901 iTunes Store and the Business 901 website, so I would like to thank you very much, Jeb, and thank all the listeners for listening.
Thank you.